I am so glad you could make it. I really needed to get out of the house for a bit. The tension in the apartment is thick enough to cut with a knife.
I could tell from your voice text that something was wrong. You usually do not suggest coffee at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. Is it work or is it Mike?
It is Mike, but it started with work. Let's order first. I need the biggest latte they have.
Okay, we have our coffees. Now tell me what happened. You said it started with work?
Yeah. Yesterday was just a nightmare. My boss completely tore apart my project proposal in front of the entire team. It was humiliating. I held it together at the office, but the second I got into my car, I started crying. I drove home just wanting to collapse.
That sounds awful. I am so sorry. You must have been exhausted by the time you got home.
I was. And that is where it all went wrong. I walked in, and Mike was in the kitchen. I started telling him what happened, just pouring my heart out about how mean my boss was and how embarrassed I felt. And I did not even get 2 minutes in before he interrupted me. What did he do? He started trying to fix it immediately. He did not say, "Oh, that sucks," or "give me a hug." He immediately went into strategist mode. He said, "You need to schedule a meeting with HR. You need to document everything. Why didn't you stand up for yourself right there?"
Ah, the classic fix-it mode. That must have felt jarring when you were just looking for comfort.
It made me furious. I felt like he wasn't listening to my pain. He was just analyzing the situation like a math problem. So I snapped at him. I said, "Stop trying to coach me. Just listen." And then he got offended. He threw his hands up and said, "I'm just trying to help you. Why do you always reject my help?"
So you ended up fighting about the fight instead of talking about your bad day.
Exactly. He stormed off to the garage, and we have barely spoken since. I just feel so lonely. It feels like he does not care about my feelings, only about facts. Why can he not just listen?
I know it feels like he does not care, but I actually think the opposite is true. The reason he jumped straight to fixing it is precisely because he cares. It is a difference in wiring, or maybe just socialization.
How is ignoring my feelings showing he cares? It felt like he just wanted me to shut up and move on.
Think about it from his perspective. He sees you hurting, you are crying, you are upset. For a lot of men, seeing their partner in pain triggers a physiological stress response. He feels helpless. To him, your pain is a problem that needs to be solved immediately so you can stop hurting.
So he is trying to fast forward through the bad feelings?
Exactly. He is not trying to dismiss you, he is trying to rescue you. In his mind, listening to you vent without doing anything feels like standing there watching a house burn down and not holding a hose. He thinks, why talk about the fire? Put it out.
That actually makes sense. I noticed he looked really stressed while I was talking. But the problem is, I do not need him to put out the fire. I need him to sit with me in the ashes for a minute and acknowledge that it burned.
Right. You are looking for emotional validation. That is your solution. You process stress by talking it out and feeling heard. Once you feel understood, the stress goes down. But for him, the solution is action. He thinks if he fixes the external problem with your boss, your internal stress will vanish.
So we are basically speaking two different languages. I am speaking emotional processing, and he is speaking tactical strategy. And because he is offering strategy when I need empathy, I feel unloved, and because I am rejecting his strategy, he feels useless. You hit the nail on the head. It is a mismatch of needs. You want a partner, he is trying to be a hero. He thinks he is failing you because you are still upset, and you think he is failing you because he will not just listen. It is not a lack of love, it is a lack of translation. Okay, I understand the psychology now. He is not trying to be a jerk, he is just trying to be useful. But knowing that does not change the fact that I still need to vent when I get home. How do I get him to stop fixing without starting another fight? You have to give him the instruction manual before you start talking. We expect them to guess what we need, but clearly his default guess is wrong. You need to pre-frame the conversation. Pre-frame it? You mean like giving a disclaimer?
Exactly. Before you launch into the story about your boss, you say something like, "Hey, I had a really hard day and I need to vent. I am not looking for a solution right now. I just need you to listen and be on my side. Can you do that for me?"
That feels a bit mechanical. Shouldn't he just know?
In a perfect world, maybe. But in reality, this little sentence changes everything. It relieves him of the pressure to solve the problem. You're basically telling him, your job right now is not to fight the dragon. It is just to hold my hand. If he knows that is the assignment, he can succeed at it. I guess that makes sense. If I tell him the goal is just comfort, then he feels like he is winning by just sitting there. He does not feel helpless anymore. Precisely. And here's the second part. After you have vented and you feel calmer, if you actually do want his strategic brain, you can say, "Okay, I feel better. Now I'm open to suggestions on how to handle this." That is actually a really good compromise. It lets me have my emotional processing time, but it also respects his need to be helpful eventually. It validates both of our styles. Right. It stops being comfort versus solutions and becomes comfort and solutions. You're just sequencing them so you don't crash into each other. I'm going to text him now. I will tell him I'm sorry for snapping and that I appreciate that he wanted to help. And tonight, I am going to try the disclaimer method. That sounds like a plan. He loves you, Sarah. He just needs to know that sometimes the best way to fix it is just to listen.